Hi class, I decided to do my video on the Dan Gilbert to LeBron letter in 2010. It was a crazy story that unfolded after LeBron James, the king, self-proclaimed king of Cleveland Cavaliers and of basketball today, decided to take his talents to South Beach in the infamous decision. The decision was criticized by a lot of people due to the fact that the way LeBron James did it. It was watched by millions and millions of people, and it just looked very bad the way that he did it. But at the end of the day, when it exploded on Twitter and ESPN and all the media outlets, that wasn't the end of the story. Cleveland Cavaliers owner Dan Gilbert, who still is the present owner at the time, was irate, to say the least, about LeBron's public decision to leave his Cleveland Cavaliers. He seemed surprised most by LeBron exercising his right to go to any team he wanted due to him being a free agent. This is when Dan Gilbert wrote the famous letter that hit Twitter, ESPN News, and every sports outlet there is. The owner posted the infamous letter on the team's website the day after the decision, guaranteeing that his team would win a championship before the self-proclaimed king did. The letter, which would make a lot of fans who were burning jerseys at the time happy. The letter received a lot of criticism on Dan Gilbert's part, to no surprise. Dan Gilbert was looked at as someone who wrote the letter out of pure hatred and no love and no ability to move forward from losing a player of the caliber of LeBron James. He was criticized in many ways on Twitter. You've seen tweets of him or people saying, "How can you respect someone who writes a letter in Comic Sans?" which is the font that he chose to display the letter on the website. He also received heavy criticism from the Roots on Twitter, a heavy major sports following, a blog on Facebook and Twitter, telling him to take the letter down because it made no sense where he screamed in the letter of LeBron James being disloyal and dishonest when he fired a coach, Mike Brown, who led them to the best record in the NBA 2 years in a row and to finals appearances. When a person who's from Michigan, asked Tom Izzo to leave Michigan State Spartans and come coach the Cleveland Cavaliers, which would be Tom Izzo showing no loyalty to his team in Michigan State. He also received criticism from many sports fans and sports people who said LeBron James had every right to leave Cleveland. LeBron James did honor his contract that he had, and he did exercise his right to go anywhere he wanted to at the end of the time, just as the contract says. So a lot of people criticized Dan Gilbert for him saying that LeBron was disloyal, but in those 7 years that LeBron James was a Cleveland Cavalier, he did honor his contract. He did play to his best ability. He did win 2 MVP trophies, and he did play very well. And it's funny how Dan Gilbert reacted by writing the letter. The letter seemed to get more exposure after writing it was enough for Dan Gilbert. He also went on to Associated Press morning show the next day and went to go on how LeBron James was a quitter in games 5 and 6 of the playoffs against the Boston Celtics. He then was also criticized for those statements because you wanted to re-sign a quitter. And you were so angry that a quitter was leaving your team. So a lot of people still criticize him to the day. Why did you want to sign a quitter? Why do you care that a quitter is leaving your team? The letter was first unfolded on the team's website, but got bigger and bigger and bigger attention because of Twitter and the Facebook and the social media outlets that are available today, due to the fact that instead of having just his team's opinion or maybe ESPN opinions with quiet opinions of people in their living rooms watching TV, you have the millions and millions of people criticizing the letter on Twitter, the millions and millions of blogs that are now available, criticizing the letter, criticizing the decision, criticizing Dan Gilbert, criticizing his comments on calling LeBron a quitter. You have all these things that blew the story up in a way that newspaper and ESPN couldn't a decade ago or years ago. I believe the way the story unfolded and the way stories of alike are unfolding these days are due to the fact that Twitter and things of that nature allow these stories to be opinionated by millions of people who only had barbershop or in their living room or in the comfort of their own home opinions. Now, when you post something on Twitter, everyone can see it and everyone can retweet it and ESPN can look at it. And it was just crazy how it blew out proportion in the whole letter to LeBron.